back to Beyond the Gate, our Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Meg.
And I'm Ava.
Yeah, and that is our special guest.
You were all ready for that.
Yeah.
You
you may recognize Ava from our Childhood Crushes episode from back in Valentine's Day, but she's back to actually talk about Fullmetal this time.
Yeah, it's so fun. Fullmetal is always like a good series.
Yeah, and today we are talking about episode 54, Beyond the Inferno.
Yes, in this episode, as envy rises within the firestorm, unleashed by Mustang's vengeful rage, Hawkeye must take drastic measures to prevent the Flame Alchemist's hatred from burning out of control.
Yes, and this covers manga chapter 94, Flames of Vengeance, and 95, Beyond the Inferno.
Yes, and before we get into the episode, we have a few questions for our guest. So, first question, who is your favorite character in the show?
Oh, I've always loved Alphonse. Like, he's just so sweet. I'm an Al fan. Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I can't not like Al.
You love the cinnamon roll characters.
They're just my type when it comes to characters, you know?
Yeah.
And then how long ago did you first watch Fullmetal, and what did you think of it?
Yeah, so I actually started watching Fullmetal Alchemist for the first time when I was in middle school, but I didn't finish the series because I stopped right after Nina turned into a chimera, and I was really sad for a while.
That's fair.
So I had to mature emotionally in order to get back into it.
Amen.
And then finally, what is your favorite anime?
My favorite anime, I have a feeling that Megan might possibly know.
Yes.
Maybe. Because honestly, it's kind of hard to tell. There are a lot of shonen that I like Naruto, Black Clover, One Piece, My Hero. There's a whole bunch of them. Jujutsu Kaisen's another one too. There's just a bunch of them.
Yes.
Demon Slayer. Dang.
Yeah.
It's, I think out of all of them, the closest answer to that would be My Hero, because it's the shonen anime that I would say that I've seen or caught up with the manga the most. I usually don't read the manga as much unless I'm really into a show, and My Hero just crossed that line for me. But
yeah, you've been read Vigilantes too.
Yeah, I love Vigilantes. I just finished the book the second day I got it a couple of days ago. It was really good. But my favorite shoujo anime is Fruits Basket. I will never stop talking about Fruits Basket.
Thank you. Good answer.
Awesome. That is also our favorite, or my favorite. I would say it's Megan's favorite too. But also that's the only one that I've seen, really. So
all
have
the
other
shoujo,
choice.
Yeah, all the other shoujo I've seen aren't really shoujo. They're more slice of life that can be subcategorized as shoujo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's I feel like there's 3 different types of shoujo-esque. There's one that highlights life things, slice of life things, or developed relationships. There's the other shoujo that highlights toxic relationships and they romanticize it. And the third one is magical girls.
Which, yeah, I guess Fruits Basket is the magical ones. But we'll see if we still say Fruits Basket after we watch Kaguya-sama.
Yep. Checking that one out next. Yeah. All right. So let's get in to the episode. Episode starts out with Riza in Ishval. She is burying someone, and we find out that it's an Ishvalan child. And Mustang comes to get her, because the extermination is over, and she's just totally heartbroken, and she asks him to burn off the alchemy notes on her back. And he agrees. And we've already seen we saw it a long time ago that her back was burned, but I don't think this is like the first time that they've explained why, I think.
At least in the show. I think in the manga it was a long time ago.
Yeah. And then we go back to the fight between Envy and Mustang, but at the end of the episode, Riza had pointed her gun at Mustang's head. And he's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And she says, "When it's just the two of us, the Colonel calls me Riza," and it's Mustang is the one that is Envy. And he like transforms and he's like, "Oh, I see. So you two are that close." And Riza pulls her, I don't know, I think one of her most famous lines where she's like, "I lied." And then she just like unloads into Envy.
It's amazing. All the shippers went, "Aw, yay, aw."
Right?
Oh, Riza.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome because she's like, well, first she unloads her handgun into him, and then she like pulls out a shotgun and like.
Where was she keeping that?
I think it was like strapped. She was like wearing like a strap. So I think it was strapped
it was
across
underneath.
her back. Yeah.
Man, that's hardcore. I bet you it unfolded too. If she pulled it out from behind her back, she kind of like flipped it up to lock the barrel in place.
Yeah,
Man, it's awesome.
It disappears out of like most of wherever anime characters put their stuff.
They got that portal dimension they just reach into to grab their weapons.
Yeah,
pretty much. Both game characters and anime characters have an inventory.
Yes.
And then Envy, of course, gets annoyed because he's being shot a bunch of times, and he like cuts Riza across the shoulder and then traps her with his green like tentacle arm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was gross. But it was cool because he punched his hand into the ground and went underneath the tiles to reach her. And then when he grabbed her, he also knocked her head against the floor and that broke her hair clip. So how rude. You can't being a very active athletic female, I can say I cannot do physical activity without my hair being up. So
no, people who do they're crazy. Like I can't see.
Yeah, they're on a whole nother level if they just run with their glasses, and I'm like, I can't focus if I have my glasses while running, dude.
Yeah.
Too much like motion there. It's gonna make me sick.
Just in time though, Mustang arrives and burns Envy once again. And this scene was just so cool because Mustang just looks so mad. He looks like a totally different person. And then like Envy is so afraid. I loved it, but also not. It was I felt a little bad, but not really because he's kind of the worst.
Like I just imagining like Mustang like snapping his fingers like every single time, just like catch Envy on fire, and I was like, well, dude, he's really peeved.
Yeah, no, that was so crazy. He like snaps his fingers. I don't even know how many times, but he does it enough times so that Envy's body turns to ashes. And he turns into his little green worm form. And then Mustang steps on Envy and he's like, "You're ugly." Yeah, and he's like, jealousy is an ugly thing, so it makes sense. And then Envy starts begging for his life, like, "No, please don't." And Mustang, of course, is we already know he's too far gone. He's not going to let up. Yeah. But then Riza points her gun at his head, and he's like, "What the heck are you doing?" And he's like, "Stop, let me do this." And then we see a flash of alchemy, and the tiles like come up from the floor, and Envy goes flying, and Ed catches him. Ed and Scar have arrived to stop Mustang. And Mustang orders Ed to hand over Envy, and he's like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, 2 brief notes here. First, I remember watching like an old video from a Comic-Con panel where Travis Willingham, Roy's voice actor, talked about this scene, and he has this line when Ed shows up and Mustang's just like, hello, Full Metal, and he's got that anger still in his voice, and I remember Travis just being like, ooh, I love that line, because he's like, I've never been this angry before. And the second note is from the manga. When Ed catches Envy, Envy at first does try to bite Ed's hand to like either take over his body or to make him let go. And then he remembers, oh yeah, his right hand is automail.
Mm-hmm.
Fail.
Yep.
Try again.
And Scar, he asks if Mustang wants to be another monster, and both Ed and Scar basically like, are you going to be a good leader if you choose to go down this path? And then Mustang remembers his speech to Hughes. It was a long time ago, but how does it go? It's like the people
I will.
It's like I will protect
the
my
people I love, and they in turn will protect those that they
Yeah.
love.
Yep. Yeah. And then it's kind of funny because Scar's like, I'm not going to stop you, but you're going down a bad path, dude. And then I think Riza is the one that ultimately gets him, because she's like, your actions are being driven by pure hatred, and I'm not going to let it take you. And then Mustang is really struggling. He's remembering Hughes. We see all these flashbacks of Hughes, and it just to make us sad. And then he's like, shoot me. I'm gonna I want to kill Envy. But Riza said if Mustang's gone, then she said she's gonna kill herself after everything's over. And Mustang, I think this is as close as we get to an I love you. He says, I can't afford to lose you.
Just kissed, honestly.
I'm sure, like, not only like the audience, but also the voice actors, and maybe even some of the writers too, are just like, oh, come
yep.
on.
And the
So
mangaka's
close.
just going, you thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the closest we'll probably get because of their jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there's other moments later in the show that are also like so close. Come on, you guys. We know you love each other.
Not only that, but they have like the development and the understanding with each other to like a spiritual, emotional degree. Where like, if it was like in real life, and if their jobs weren't in the way, they would be together.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. I think even the
Yeah.
mangaka has said that if they weren't in their military positions, they would be married.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can always draw what ifs or make fan fictions, I guess.
Oh, there's plenty of fanfic.
Yeah, there's so much. And so this like speech from Riza finally breaks him. He's like, I'm being scolded by a child, lectured by my enemy, and I've hurt, Riza. And so he I don't know, it's very sweet. He asks for her forgiveness and then just like sits at her feet.
Yeah. And then she sits down to join him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is like the essence of meeting someone where they're at. But in the manga and in the anime, but I wanted to quote the manga, the moment is ruined by envy. He says, "You weren't a fool. You were the most honest person here. What is this? Some contest to see who can be the nicest? I'm gonna throw up."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's really trying his hardest to goad them into fighting again. But no one takes the bait, and Envy, like, just, he doesn't understand, at all why they won't fight each other, like how they can forgive each other and get along. And this is when Ed realizes that Envy is jealous of humans and their ability to rise to the challenge and support each other. And this totally sets Envy off. He escapes Ed's hand by biting his real hand, and he's crying, and he's like, "I've been humiliated."
Yeah, and he says, like, well, in the anime, he's like, he admits to it. He says Ed figured him out. In the manga, his line is, "To be mocked by you worms, and worst of all, the most pathetic, insignificant one of you actually shows me compassion. It's the ultimate insult."
Mm-hmm. And then Envy reaches inside of himself and pulls out the stone. And as he dies, he's like, "Goodbye, Edward Elric," which is I think the first and only time he ever says Ed's name. He always calls him like Pipsqueak or something like that.
Yeah, Pipsqueak or Fullmetal Runt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Mustang's like, "Well, he took the easy way out," which I agree with.
Mm-hmm. It was an interesting scene. I remember when I was looking at it, especially for the first time, when Envy was dying. I don't know why, but there was like a part of me that was like sad at the moment because like I think it was either like the way that Envy was crawling and crying, and also like him being like, "It's not fair, it's not fair," and I don't know why. It just kind of like breaks my heart a little bit because ultimately Envy at the center of it is self-loathing, and it also is like Envy's death was also kind of symbolic because jealousy and envy does kill you from the inside.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was watching somebody react to this scene on YouTube, and he was like, "I hate Envy. He killed Hughes. I really hate him." But at the same time, this whole scene made me feel like I pity him or something. And yeah. And I agree with that. Like, I was really sad when he decided to kill himself. Like, that was the way he went out.
Yeah, I remember. Well, you know it's a good death scene when it makes you feel a lot of things. But also, like, the first time we watched it, I was just in shock. I was like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, you don't see it coming, but at the same time, it does kind of make sense for his character.
Yeah.
It's also like a human flaw. So it's like, I guess it kind of highlights like one of the most negative things about humanity, or like the self, and then like, just having it be broadcasted in a way. Cause yeah, the bad guys are like, named after like the 7 sins, I believe. Yeah. Like gluttony, lust, and all that stuff. And, yeah, I guess it's because like they made envy very human there in a way.
Yeah, it's like the first time you're like, "Oh, he's being real."
Yeah.
But then we move on to we go back to the Armstrongs fighting Sloth and the Immortal Army, and we go back right kind of where we left off, where Sloth is like pulling out the stalagmite that's in his mouth. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. And Central and Olivier, they are teaming up to fight the Immortal Army. It's kind of, Olivier is just amazing. She just like, they're supposed to be there to kill her, but she just like takes charge and like tells them what to do. And they're like, "All right, we want to live."
Yes, ma'am.
And then Alex, he's fighting Sloth, and he gets captured by him and getting beat up pretty bad. And the central soldiers are concerned, but Olivier's not. She's like, leave him. He was trained better.
He was trained better than to be killed like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is something I forgot until I read the manga, and the line totally makes sense now. But in the earlier episode, his shoulder had been dislocated, so he wasn't able to fight back that well. But then while he's getting beat up, Sloth like puts his shoulder back. And
yeah,
so
actually, I think Alex turned at the last second to make sure he caught his shoulder to pop it back in place.
Yeah, and
Which,
so
speaking from someone who's had a dislocated shoulder, ouch.
Well, there's a lot of adrenaline, so I'm sure he's fine. And he's an Armstrong.
Yeah.
Pain tolerance has been passed down to the Armstrongs for generations.
Yes.
That's true. When adrenaline is like a superpower on its own.
Yeah.
Forget medicine, you need adrenaline.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Olivier's just like, nice.
Mm-hmm. I know, I loved that. And then he punches Sloth a bunch of times and like spears him again. So hopefully this is the end of Sloth. We'll see in a future episode. And then the final scene of the episode, we're at like the main command center of the Central Soldiers. And we see other soldiers reporting back that the Armstrong estate has been emptied. It is empty, and that's where the tank was assembled. And we see the tank like totally taking down the gates. They are kicking butt. And then the like general, he's like, okay, fire on the tank, even though there's civilians that haven't been evacuated. But then right before he gives the command, there's a big explosion, and Buccaneer grabs the general, and we learn that Fullman helped them get into the Central Command Center, and Izumi built the tunnels.
Yes, Izumi. So, you will be covering what Izumi says later, but I wanted to say what she says in the manga. When someone asks, I usually say I'm a housewife. Called me old-fashioned, but today I'm feeling a little sassy.
Mm-hmm.
Izumi's great.
Oh, she's awesome.
She is. All right, and that was the end. Oh, wait, just kidding.
There was an end credit scene. Oh.
Yes, there is. It's not very exciting.
Nah.
Hohenheim, he finally reaches Father, and Father, he just stands up. I mean, seriously, like, he is Thanos. Like, every time, like, he's, like, we just see him sitting the whole time, and then anytime he's gonna do something, he, like, finally stands up.
How much did it cost you? Everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, okay, so since that's the end of the episode, we don't have any new voice actor notes, but we just want to say, the amazing performances by all the voice actors, especially Envy's voice actress. I'm pretty sure she won an award for her performance. Those screams of agony were very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ed Short rants. He didn't have any. He got called Pipsqueak like 3 times, and he had no reaction whatsoever. He has grown up so much.
Character developments.
Yeah.
Remember when he would just like fume whenever someone just like called him short?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when they didn't call him short, he would just look at him like, you were going to call me short.
I know you were thinking it. Don't even think about talking to me about milk. I won't drink it.
Yeah, and then tracking wise, homunculi deaths. I stopped counting after like 10 deaths of Envy. Obviously, he had a final death at the very end there. And then Sloth died once from getting impaled again. Animation expertise. Roy's appearance changed a lot when he was furious. I've mentioned this in the previous episode when his anger first started, but his pupils were drawn a lot smaller, and there were a lot more lines and shadows etched onto his face.
It was a good attention to detail. Like, it almost felt like he was like turning into a different Wrath in a little bit.
Yes, and they did say the word Wrath once, referring to the anger and hatred he was feeling.
There we go.
Yeah, which brings us to our philosophical analysis of, were Roy's actions justified? Was it revenge or justice?
Ooh, man. That kind of like went with like my favorite quotes from like Riza, and I had to like write it down because it was long.
Yeah, go for it. If that's your favorite line, we do favorite line of the episode, so go ahead and say it.
Yeah, so that's kind of like two questions at once. I can't let you kill envy. However, I have no intention of letting envy live either. I'll take care of it. What you're about to do is not to help the country or save a comrade. You want to kill to satisfy your hatred. Please, don't go where I can't follow. Basically, I really like that line because like it shows Riza saving Roy from acting in self-interest, from using his power to hurt and not protect, which goes against both his and Riza's ideals in the first place of protecting people. So in a way, it not only demonstrates Riza's loyalty to Roy or Mustang, but she was also saving him from himself before he goes down that path. From him turning to someone he was trying to avoid in the first place. And
that's really the essence of like the philosophy behind why they were trying to stop Roy from doing it. They weren't going to let Envy get away because he needed to be brought to justice, but they weren't going to let Roy be the one to do it because it would have been for all of the wrong reasons. I also like how she said, "Don't go where I can't follow," because Lord of the Rings just popped into my head.
You shut up, Pass. That's a different one, I think.
No, Mr. Frodo, don't go where I can't follow.
Yeah, like I think that pretty much answers like my view of that question of was it justified or not too.
Yeah,
like
I think that's
that's
I think that's where Meg and I stand too. Like, don't let anger take you.
Yeah, I agree. I think Envy for sure needed to pay for what he did. But Roy, I think if he had been not so bent on revenge, he could have been the one to carry it out, but because of the way he acted, he couldn't do it. It would have pushed him past a point that he couldn't come back from.
Yeah.
I also really liked that whole quote because it like reminded me in a earlier episode. I remember Roy like asks Riza to like watch out for him, and if he's ever like going the wrong way to I think, does he ask her to kill him or just keep him on the straight and narrow? I can't remember.
I think he says like, I think he takes drastic measures like end my life.
Yeah.
Like stop me from doing it.
And so this was a moment where she needed to do that.
Yes. And if I could segue into my favorite line, I like how, so we have all that going on, but throughout all of this, Ed is still the one to keep empathy in his heart, even though they're dealing with a monster here. So my favorite line came from Ed, when he was talking about Envy. He said, "Now I see, you're jealous of humans, aren't you? We humans, according to you, are supposed to be nothing when compared to homunculi. And yet, when we're beaten down, when we stray and fall, we face the challenge again and again. Our loved ones are always there to pick us back up. And you're jealous. You envy us because of that."
Yeah, that one's a good one too. Like, man, I think that would be my second favorite for sure.
That one kind of like, cut deep.
Yeah, because it like kind of cuts to the center, and it showed Envy for what Envy really was. It wasn't like this huge scary monster. It's kind of like a pathetic looking, very sad creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Meg, what was your favorite line?
Yeah, mine came from Azumi. The final line of the episode really was, when people ask, I say I'm a housewife. It does make sense, but today I've shed that particular disguise. I am an alchemist.
Yes!
That is definitely a go girl moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
She's my hero.
And then, Megan, what did we learn in this episode?
We learned, don't lose yourself in your quest for justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much always remember who you are, basically. And like, yeah, pretty much the theme, the Cinda, remember who you are. But yeah. And don't let, like, your emotions get, like, the best of you, basically, like, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And then, who pushed the story forward in this episode?
Riza, Ed, and Scar for stopping Mustang from going too far. And an honorable mention to Envy because he took himself out of the picture.
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to a morbid place, sorry.
Yeah. And I think he was on his last leg anyway.
Yeah, he was. We got that little at the end of the manga with the in memoriam, we had little worm Envy floating up to heaven.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw Kimberly, but I missed Envy.
Okay, you know what's hilarious? Envy, Kimberly, and whenever we lose a homunculus, they all float up to heaven with all the other characters who die. The only character who was dragged down to hell was Tucker.
Oh my gosh! Honestly, that's great. Because I don't think I'll ever forgive Tucker for what he did to his wife and daughter.
Horrible. He's the worst anime dad. Changed my mind.
That's a different layer of hell for him.
All right, let's end on that high note.
Yes. Thank you, Ava, for coming on. It was a great time. I guess, what are you up to? Is there anything that our listeners can check out?
Yeah, let's see. I'm pretty much just like learning new programs at the moment, learning Clip Studio Paint. Pretty much doing animations and learning along the way. So yeah, just like a lot of self-growth. And now I really want like an Envy like stuffed toy, just like to have whenever like I have. Oh my gosh, yes, because like that'd be awesome if for whatever reason like if I ever like have like jealousy and like I got over it, it'll be just like really cool to just like squish the Envy like stuffed animal.
That's a cute
like,
idea. I've been wanting to make one for a long time. Yeah. Anyway, check us out on Instagram and YouTube, and make sure to tune in next week for the next episode.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody.